So hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all. My name is Ricardo Albeira. I'm the CEO and founder of Soccer Hub. Soccer Hub, as you know, is an online education platform for soccer coaches, soccer scouts, soccer analysts, soccer performance analysts. You can find there many high-level content about all of these subjects. So, as you know, this is a live interview. So, I would like first for you to introduce on the chat box your job. What kind of job do you do in soccer, and the country that you are based in, so we can also adapt a bit more of our conversation to your specific needs. So introduce it on the chat box. And also, please, if you can hear me and see me well, please click the like button on the chat box so I can understand that everything is great. So for today's webinar, we invited a very good friend of mine, a coach with a long experience that worked first at the youth level in clubs such as Sporting of Portugal, Benfica of Lisbon, Al Ahly in Saudi Arabia, and more recently in the Chinese FA with the under 16 national team. Currently, he is the Mozambique national team coach. So it's a great pleasure that I have here with me Luís Gonçalves, that I'm going to introduce right now in the conversation. Hello, Luís.
Hello,
Good
hello.
afternoon. How are
Good
you?
afternoon. Fine, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for
Thank
the
you for
invitation.
accepting. Thank you for accepting our invitation. It's a big pleasure. Of course, we had the opportunity to talk several times about different issues, but for me, it's a big pleasure to have you now on Soccer Hub and talk a bit to our community about your beliefs about soccer coaching. Thank you once again. So,
Thank you.
Luis,
Thank
my first question, it's about the reality that you are in now in Africa, in Mozambique. So I would
you. Yeah.
like to ask you, what are the main challenges that the football in Mozambique faces nowadays? And also, what are the challenges that the football coaches in Mozambique are facing at the moment, Luis?
Okay. Right now, like you said, I'm the national coach from Mozambique, and the most important challenge, in my point of view, is to to with cooperation with all agents from Mozambican football, rebuild or try to develop the Mozambican football with the collaboration of uh, every agent from football and try to build a network because it's
Mhm.
in my point very important to build a network, for example, from scouting, from the coach education for the youth teams clubs. They have the youth teams, but I think we can do much better in the youth teams with better youth coaches and
Mhm.
try to develop that teams and that young players for the future. But that is the target for I can say a long term or medium term. In immediately we have a big challenge that is the competitions that we are involved, like the AFCON, uh, CAN. We used to say CAN, AFCON, the
Mhm.
African Cup of Nations, and we are trying to achieve that competition, to that final phase of that competition that will be into 2021 in Cameroon. We
Mhm.
are in a group with Cape Verde, Cameroon, and Rwanda.
Mhm.
Four teams. We know we can we need to win the group to achieve that goal. You know.
Okay, perfect. So, what about the coaches themselves? Last week we were together on the development and the launching of a new association that unites all the Portuguese-speaking countries' football coaches. What about the Mozambique coaches? Do you feel that uh, what do they need to develop more and find themselves more competent for the challenges of today's football, Luis?
Okay, I think they are the principal persons that can say what they need, but I can say with my knowledge and my change ideas that I change normally with them that they want to know, they want to learn, they want to develop their knowledge about the knowledge of the game, the tactical issues, and the knowledge about the things like what is important in the players development when you want to develop the player, what is most important, because normally the coaches they know about the game, they know they know about football in general, but sometimes they need to more specific knowledge about several issues. Like I said, I believe they want to learn. They want to learn. I think we don't know everything. So when I went to a project like this, I said I'm not here to teach. I'm here to learn with you also. But I believe with this new this a União dos Treinadores Lusófonos, this new association, I believe we can do more cooperating with Portuguese coaches, with coaches from Mozambique, Angola, Cabo Verde, many countries. And I believe if we can do something, we can grow together. I think it's very important. So they want to learn, they want to know more about questions like what is needed to develop the player. I think it's the most important.
Okay, once again, this is a live event, so I would ask our attendees that ask some questions to Luís. It's a good opportunity. I see that we have here people from Nepal and Portugal, so don't forget to write your questions on the chat box, and I will select some to ask them to Luís. Luís, I'm aware that this is a quite new experience for you to be a national team coach. Of course, in China, you had the opportunity to work, but at a different level, well, in a different reality, but also in a different level. So my question is, and having you already the experience to work in different clubs and in different realities, what are the main differences of the work of a national team coach or a regular coach? What are the main differences, and what are the main challenges in these two kind of works, Luís?
Between a national coach and a club coach, a team coach.
Yes, that's it.
Yeah, yeah. First of all, the work in a national team, the scouting is very important. You need to build, if you don't have, you need to build a very strong network of scouts, and you need to watch several games, several matches, several players. You need to take many hours a day to watch the matches and to analyze the players, to choose very well, to know the players. And when you have the you need to do the call, the call up, you need to choose the best players. So sometimes, for example, we can call the players for the next FIFA date in October. We can call players that they are very good players, but maybe for some reason they aren't in the best shape. So for me, like a national coach, scouting is very important. Of course, when you are on the field, when you are training, you try to implement your game model. You try to implement your ideas, what you want for your team, how you want to play, but you can't forget that the players, they are from different clubs, they are used to play with different game models, with different coaches, and they are sometimes they are in different levels of shape. So you have to manage all of that. That's for me the big difference, because when you are coaching a team in a club, in a regular you are always, you are every day with the players, you are always with the team, you are every day training, you are every day adapting your ideas to the team, you are always practicing how you want the team play, and you always have, normally once a week or twice a week you have matches, so you can evaluate, of course, if you have time, because if you don't win, it's difficult. The results are the judge, but that's it. In a team, you are always working on the field, training, practicing, evaluating the training, the match, and the weekend. And for me, the big difference is when you are a national coach, even when I was in China with under 16, it's similar, because we did a very strong work in scouting to know the players, to build a list of players that we can choose in that moment when we need to make our call. So for me, that's the big difference.
Another question to you, Luis, is about how you started as a coach. I'm aware that you started first as a grassroots coach, as a youth coach. And my question is, how important is to be a youth coach to be now a successful coach of adults? You know, do you feel that it is important to have a kind of steps to evolve as a coach, so you can be more ready to understand the entire process when you reach the adult level? Luis, what do you think about it?
No, I believe is for me, in my case, is my background is good, because it's I feel it's helpful, uh, because I grew like a coach also in youth coaching youth teams, and that background gives me a different point of view, how we can interpret the players, how we can evaluate the situations, and understand better in some moments we can understand better some questions of the players. So but I don't think that it's an obligation. I don't think, because coaches, they start at a high level, like they started coaching teams in the first league, in the high competition. And for me, the most important thing in the coach is the preparation. We can do our preparation in different ways, but in my case, yes, I believe it's a good apport for me to have that history, that background. But
Okay, Luis.
it's the knowledge about the game. Sorry, the question is the knowledge about the game, and you need to be prepared to manage the team. Of course, when we are managing adults, you can say they are different. The young players with 15 years old, 16, 14, but you need to be prepared to manage all kind of ages, and I feel I'm prepared, so no problem.
Okay, Luis, we have here a question from João Fonseca. João Nuno, thank you very much for your question. João is currently working at Benfica. He also has a course available on Soccer Hub, so take a look at it. It's very interesting. So first, congratulations to Soccer Hub and Ricardo Balbeira for this interview. And the question is, Luis, in your opinion, what should the national team coach prioritize when receive the players from the different clubs' contacts? All the best in Mozambique, and abraço delivered to you, Luis.
Okay, thank you, João Nuno. Eu também, I know João Fonseca, I know, and thank you for your question. And like I said before, for me, the most important when you receive the players, you need to know how are how are they. So they are in shape, are they aren't. That's the main question because normally, if you have a group of players, okay, from for example September, we can call a group of players. In October, we can call same group, but with some differences with the new players, but you are working your ideas, so you don't have so much time, but you can work what you want. But the most important thing is to analyze and to understand how are the players. They are well, they aren't. They can do what you want. You need to know if they played many matches in the week before, in the latest weeks or not. And of course, that's it. You need to prioritize the shape of the players. Of course, you need time to work to implement your ideas, but for me, most important is how are the players. They are well to play. They are well to give their contribute to the team in that match. For me, it's the most important. I don't know if I answered the question. I believe so.
Thank you, Luís. Thank you, João, also for your question. As you know, Luís, Soccer Hub is an online platform. We are always
Yes.
very interested in understanding what kind of knowledge the coaches need and want. So my question to you, Luís, is what type of training or learning was most important in your career and evolution as a coach? What kind of knowledge that you got that you feel that, okay, this knowledge is really important for my work now as a coach?
That's a very good question. Um, I believe I can't say in that this moment or that moment, but I believe in all these years I learned a lot in many situations, but observing, watching other coaches working, it's very important when we can watch. And after, if you have the opportunity to change ideas, to make questions to that coaches. Normally, coaches they have different experience. They have big knowledge, and if you can change ideas, you can learn a lot. Of course, I believe all the formations, all the courses that I've done in the university also, and the courses from the, in this case, Portuguese Federation, the courses from the coach education, you can always learn, because I believe if you are available to learn, if you want to learn, you always gonna learn something. But of course, in your experience, in your work experience, because I'm coaching from 1994, so 25 years, more or less. So you need to be aware, and you need to be with an open mind, always to learn, sometimes with your own mistakes. Of course, to do that, you need to to do a reflection, a constant reflection of your work. If I do,
Mhm.
I've done this. Okay, the result was that is good or not. What can I do to be better? And when we have the possibility, like your platform, Soccer Hub, and other possibilities to change ideas and to share ideas, I believe we can learn a lot. And
Mhm.
uh, uh, now I'm 47 years old. I'm a young guy, but okay,
Mhm.
I'm coaching 25 years more or less, but I'm always learning, and I have persons working with me younger than me, and I'm always learning with them, because we need to have that spirit. And like I said before, nowadays it's much easier to learn if we want, because we have the networking, we have the platforms like your platform and others, and we can always, like we are doing now. We are sharing ideas, and for me, it's a very important tool to learn.
Yeah, I'm aware that well, I've met you in different contexts where you are getting education, information.
Yes.
So you are the kind of person that are keen to get more and more knowledge, and I want to share with you that in my opinion, it's a mistake for the coaches to believe that they only can get knowledge from the certified courses.
Yes.
Only from the courses from the FAs and everything else, because and I write this oftenly saying that the coaching knowledge it's evolving very, very fast, sometimes even faster than other industries. So sometimes to keep
Yes.
up with this, you have always to be updated and looking for new information. And so what the message that I want to give is coaches must always be looking for new and new information, because the one that they receive initially on their phase, they are not enough. For instance, we have here a question from India, from Naveen Kumar. Well, he asks the first question about the facilities that are available in Mozambique. You can talk a bit about it, but I imagine that they are not as good as in Europe, of course.
No.
And one question is if it is possible for someone from outside Africa to be successful as a coach in the continent. Naveen, just to tell you that Luís was born in Mozambique,
Yeah.
right?
True.
So he's African. He's African. But I think the question of Naveen is if our mentality, maybe European or Asian mentality, if they can adapt and be successful coaching in Africa. What do you think about this, Luís? Is that possible?
Yes, of course, it's possible, because for me, the success is not a question of facilities; it's a question of attitude. First of all, it's a question of attitude. Of course, if you have good facilities, it's easier. If you have a good structure with the organization, with the money, it's easier.
Yeah.
But for me, success is a question of mentality, attitude, and sometimes. First of all, you need to understand the country where you are, because Africa is very big. Inside of Africa, the countries are different also. So we can't say Africa like one country, because we are talking right now in my country where I was born, Mozambique. We have difficulties, of course. We have the facilities they aren't what we want, what you are used to here in Portugal, in Europe. We know that, but of course we need to adapt. We need to adapt to the context, to the culture of the country. We need to understand the mentality of the players, the mentality of the persons that they rule the football, and we need to try to adapt, but at the same time to put our ideas on the field. So, of course, when we don't have the best facilities, we need to adapt. We need to do our job. We need to do our work the best we can, and never give up. That's never give up. For me, it's very important, and try to do your best with what you have. So, like I said, the mentality for me, the success for me is a question of attitude, of mentality, not facilities.
Okay, Luís, we have here some messages, including from a common friend, Pedro Dias, aka Chiquinho.
I know him also.
That is working now in Canada after returning from New Zealand. Just want to say to you that he's very happy that you have this chance in Mozambique to lead the national team. Thank you for being with us, Pedro, once again. Well, another question is still related with the education and the influences that you received during the process of you being developed as a coach. So my question is, who is a reference for you in the field of soccer training, and why?
Okay. I have many references, I can say, but of course, Carlos Queiroz for me is a reference because what he did in Portugal with the youth teams. I remember when I was like I don't want to lie, but I was 16 years old maybe when I saw when Portugal won the World Cup in
Mhm.
Riyadh.
Yeah.
And after that, what he did in the Portuguese Federation, not only him, because other coaches with him, Nel Vingada, for him, Josualdo Ferreira, but for me, Carlos Queiroz is a reference, like a coach, and like a person that uh, had done something different to change the football in a country, and for me, is a reference. But I need to be fair, and I would like
Mhm.
to talk about a person that I worked many years in Sporting, because I worked in Sporting Portugal, Clube de Portugal, 12 years, and I worked with
Mhm.
a person that is Jean Paul. I don't know if everybody knows him, but for me, he was a reference because I learned a lot with him, and we worked together, and that for me is a reference. But I can say Mourinho. Mourinho is
Mhm.
a good reference, like the Portuguese coach without
Mhm.
fear. The,
Mhm.
the, how he approached the football, how he innovate the football for me is very important. And I like very much Guardiola because in the last years was the coach that innovate more the game,
Mhm.
innovate more with new ideas for the. So I have different references, but I try to do my way. I try to learn with everybody, and I try to do Luís Gonçalves way. So,
Mhm.
but that's it. Carlos Queiroz for me is
Mhm.
the biggest person I can say.
Mourinho said something like that a few months ago in an interview to the Portuguese FA, saying that you have to create your own knowledge. Of course, you have to listen from this and from that, go to Soccer Hub, go to other places
Yeah.
to receive information, but you have to generate your own knowledge. And I think a smart coach should think like this. Okay,
Yes.
you can go to the YouTube and take some exercises, but you have to generate your own
Yeah.
exercises and your own ideas. Going back a bit, Luís, you talk about the importance of scouting in your work as a national team coach. But I would like to ask you, what do you look for when choosing the players to the national team? Is there a kind of a profile that you look for in those players, Luís?
If we are talking about the national team, the first team, that's where I'm now.
Mhm.
I have an idea, a game idea, and game model, and I look for the players that I see that they can interpret what I want for the game,
Okay.
because we are working for winning matches. That's it. We are working for winning matches, of course, and we have the example for the last match. I put in the first 11 player with 18 years old, Jenny Catamo, and
Mhm.
many persons they were surprised. Why? Because in
Mhm.
that match, the Jenny was prepared to play. So because he interpreted what I want for the game. So when I do scouting, I'm always looking for the players that can interpret what I want for the game. So, but if we are doing scouting for a large term, we can say we are looking normally. We look players that they think well, they make good decisions on the game.
Mhm.
The decision making is very important. Of course, you need to look players that they are fast. nowadays, if you don't have players that they are fast, it's very difficult. But of course, you need to know for what position. What position? If you are looking for goalkeepers, of course, the height, the stature is very important. So you need to know because, of course, the goalkeeper he can be very agile, if you want to say. He can be very good between the goal, but if you don't have good stature, maybe in the future you can play in a high level. So you need to know about these things when you look for a player in young ages. For example, the biological age is very important. You need to know if
Yeah.
the chronicle age is different from biological age. You need to understand if the player is mature or not, not yet. And of course, when you look much, you are looking at players that with the relation with the ball, the technique, if you want. But I used to say the relation with the ball must be from excellence or near that. So the relation with the ball, the decision, how he thinks the game, speed, if he's fast, better. But of course, you need to evaluate what position you want and the specific characteristics from the positions, you know.
Okay, thank you, Luis. I have two more questions. Just first, we have some more questions here on the chat. I would ask this question from Omar. Omar, I believe, is from Gambia, and the question is: what are the challenges coaching a national team having lots of players to select from the interleagues and different clubs' fans' expectations? Well, I imagine that many of the players that are playing now in the national team they are also playing here in Portugal, but I believe that they are a bit spread all over the world. And
Yes,
I imagine also that your federation doesn't have enough money to have a worldwide scouting department to watch and to take
yeah,
a look of all of those players. So
yes,
how do you face those challenges, Luis?
yes. That's a good question because in the sequence of what I said before, uh, first of all, we are always trying to find new players, and it's true that the Mozambican players nowadays they are spread. We have players from Kazakhstan,
Oh,
Azerbaijan, France, uh, Portugal, of course, South Africa, Albania, many countries. And besides that, we are always trying to find players from second generation. Sometimes we find players from second generation that can be they can be Mozambican players if they want, if it's possible, and we are always looking how we do that. Of course, we are. I have my collaborators. I have my assistant coaches. I'm trying. I'm trying to do a new network of scouts, like I said before. And of course, the platforms that exist are very
yeah.
important. When we want to watch a match, we can watch a match. But besides that, also very important is the persons, the people that they like to help. Sometimes I receive messages. I know a player that is in Germany, in the division. His father is from Mozambique, and send me the name of the player, and we go to look for him. But that's hard work. That's a very hard work. Yeah, it's hard work. But I feel we are doing steps to 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 be better and to get stronger. Of course, we need to build a network, but we are doing like that right now.
Okay, Luis, we have here one more question from Catarina Cardoso. She's asking if you have enough time to work the mental part of your athletes, if you have time to
Yes.
do mental coaching, and if you do, how do you do it?
Okay. Uh, I believe in the training, normal training. We always need to consider the mental work, the mental training. For me, it's part of training because as a coach, I work the mental, the physical, the tactical, the technical, everything together. I know I understand the question, but we don't do mental coach with a specific person, mental coach. In the national team, I believe we don't have, sorry for what I'm saying, but I believe we don't have time for that kind of approach. So for me, in my opinion, we have to work everything together. Of course, I I'm always trying to be better coach, knowing new things about how we can do that kind of approach. And I believe the mental coaching is very important. But I do it in the training altogether, you know. But I accept in the future, in the future, it's possible we can have specific coach for that. We can, in the near future, we can consider that. Uh, I had different experience with sports psychologists and with the mental coaches before in the different contests, in different teams. And I believe it's if mental coach of the football psychologist is integrated in the technical staff and he knows about what we think about the game and what you want from the players, could be a very good help, you know.
Yeah, I believe so. Yes, but sometimes it's difficult to, with the time that you have to
Yeah,
separate everything. So you have to work in a holistic kind of way
yeah,
to save some time, and I understand that. Luis, you've been in China. You've been also in Mozambique. Now you're back to Mozambique. Can you tell me or share a short story about your work that might be relevant to this interview? Um, I believe that in China, you must have many stories. You had the time to travel a lot. So,
yeah.
do you have something that you would like to tell
No,
us about your experience over there?
yes, I can say just something like that. It's like a message, but because in China, because it's cultural. Everybody wants to practice, training, work, and as a principle is a good thing. But sometimes you need to understand the best practice is not to train, is to rest, and that's a story I can share. It's no problem because it's no offensive. But once a person came in, coach, you need to train more 2 hours today because the leaders they are here, they are watching. No, and I said, no, sorry, for today I planned 1 hour and a half, 90 minutes session for me is okay. The players need to rest. And sometimes that's a message. Sometimes the best practice is not to train because the balance between the training, the rest, and the nutrition, it's very important. If you are talking different ages, like 14, 15, 16 years old, it's very important. I can share this like a message, but uh, that's it. In China, I was 10 months in China, and that was a
Mhm,
great experience.
mhm,
It's a very big country. They want a lot to improve in football. They are
mhm,
investing a lot. They are looking their way. So uh, that was a big experience for me.
mhm. We have here one more question from Christopher Obara that I would ask you, Christopher, to write on the chat box. Where are you based in? What country are you from? So he says that African has the talent and passion for football. It's in Portuguese. Thank you for that.
Yes.
What is missing is a great foundation in fundamentals. So we can. I imagine that Christopher is African at the highest level. What are your thoughts on this?
No, like I said before, the fundamentals, like you said, and the youth coaching is very important. since the grassroots, since the younger stages. But at the same time, we can't forget Africa have the a very important thing. They have, like we used to say, the street football. The kids play on the street. The kids play on the fields. In Europe, in Portugal, for example, nowadays we don't see that a lot often. But of course, I agree. We need the fundamentals. We need to invest in the coach education, in the youth coaches education, and of course, we need facilities also because you want to develop the players and to improve the teams, we want to improve the football. You need the facilities. So yes, I agree with Christopher. Thank you for your question.
Okay, thank you, Luis. One last question, Luis. We here at Soccer Hub are always thinking about the coach of the future. What will be the coach of the future? So, in your perspective, what will be that coach of the future, and what kind of path must he take to achieve excellence? Do you believe that in the future the coach would be much different than he is now? You would need to have different skills to work as a coach and achieve excellence. What do you think about this, Luis?
That's a very good question. Not easy to answer, but
Yeah, sure.
in my opinion, I believe the coach, the coach of future, must be like many coaches are now, always looking for knowledge, always trying to adapt and try to understand the evolution of society, because we can't forget that we are in the society. The football is a sport, and we are included in a big society. So the future, the coach from future, for me, in my humble opinion, is a coach that is always looking for learn and always with an open mind to understand
Mhm.
the environment and the players and the structures. I can say more than that, but I'm trying to be the coach for the future.
Okay, Luis. Once again, thank you very much for accepting our invitation. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
this wonderful chat and for you to share all of this knowledge with our audience. I would like also to thank all of those that have participated in this webinar. Thank you for the questions. Thank you for the interactions. I just want to ask you to introduce some feedback about the webinar. If you liked it, you just press the like button so we can have also some feedback about it. Once again, Luis, thank you very much for being with us. I hope that you have a lot of success in Mozambique.
Thank you.
I believe that you deserved it. You've been doing a wonderful job. So also you can count with Soccer Hub for whatever you need. And thank you once again. Okay, Luis.
Okay, Ricardo. Thank you. It was a pleasure to be with you and with every person that they were in online. And thank you for your
Mhm.
questions. And I hope that I can contribute with something. Thank you very much.
Sure, Luis. Thank you, Luis. Bye.